Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we're going to be making two amazing shaker cards, definitely inspired by the new release of Simon Says Stamp. And without further ado, let's dive right into the video. So we are starting off the card by making a note card, and you can take basically any dimensions. I just took 6 inches by 5 inches. You just need to make sure that the length of your card is divisible by 3, as we're going to make 3 windows. So I took the paper to 6 inches by 10 inches and then scored it at 5 inches to make a note card. So now we're going to make the windows, and since we do not have the die set, what we're going to do is we're going to make 3 squares of 2 inches by 2 inches and then make 3 more squares inside them a little smaller so that we have dividers for our shaker windows. You'll see me doing that in a moment. Now what I did was I just made the grid lines, and since I'm making 2 cards simultaneously, I did all the trial and error off screen, then took the negative part of those windows, traced it on this card and cut it out. But really, it's not such of a rocket science. Even without the die set, you can make the windows very easily. You just need to make 3 squares, make 3 more squares inside them a little smaller, and then cut them out to make the windows. So we have little dividers also. Now since this is going to be a completely see-through card, we need to make the windows 3 times. For the front page, for the back page, and of course one more time to cover all the backing of styrofoam or any dimension we're going to do at the back. So I'm just tracing the front part onto the next page and then cutting it out. Pretty basic stuff. So now we need the see-through element of our card. You can use anything, acetate, clear packaging, even vellum would be great. We need two pieces for each one of our cards, and you just need to cut the acetate a little bit larger than the window section and then stick it to make the shaker window. Now we need some dimension for our shaker window. Now I do not recommend using the double-sided tape because I did that mistake. It's a lot of hassle. The foam sheets is the best option, even the glitter ones would work, but I just had these I imagine styrofoam on my hands, so I just used it for the dimension. What I did for this card is I took thin strips of styrofoam and stick them around the windows for dimension, but it was a bad idea. What you need to do is you need to trace the windows on the foam sheet or the styrofoam and then cut them out just like we did on the paper, and then stick the whole thing on the back of your card for dimension. It is much more sturdier. Now I'm just putting the shaker elements on the window before sticking the acetate. Now this is a little tip for the shaker cards. What you need to do is you need to stick some of the shaker elements on the window so that when your card stands up, not all of the elements fall down and your window looks completely empty. It's a little bit of a detail but adds a lot of interest. Also, sorry, my head gets there in the way. Now I'm just powdering the edges so that none of the elements stick to the window and sticking it with the help of some double-sided tape. The shaker element of our card is working now. Now I'm tracing the windows one last time on the same colored cardstock so that we can cover the back of our card and none of the styrofoam peeks through, tracing it and cutting it so that our card has some finesse. Now here I'm just sticking the window, the cardstock basically we just cut on the back of our card. Now I want to share a trick by which you can use your normal stamps, the sentiments of your normal stamp, and use them as background stamps because background stamps are pretty expensive. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a few sentiments of this stamp set called Painted Roses by Avery, Elle, and I'm putting my cardstock on this DIY Misty and making a block of sentiments. You can use any sentiments, they don't have to be occasion oriented, just to create a nice, subtle, scripted background. So I'm taking this stamp set and making a block of sorts out of them, and then I'll repeatedly stamp it on the cardstock to create a very light, subtle background. Also, I'm using Crayola markers. This is a very light brown color, burnt sienna, for stamping it because I didn't have the perfect ink to create that subtle of a background. You can always use your washable markers or any sort of markers as inks. They work pretty well like that. Also, this DIY Misty, I created it by using a diary which had a hardcover, and I took the glass of a photo frame, sticked it to one side so that the stamps can cling to it, and I put some temporary tape on the cardstock I want to stamp it, and you can see it works like a pretty neat Misty, because Misty is also pretty expensive. Now I'm just stamping it repeatedly to just darken it up a bit, because stamping with markers you need to stamp multiple times. Now I'm taking the cardstock, moving it a bit up and stamping the same block again, and what we will end up with is a really nice subtle scripted background, the kind you see. These kind of background stamps are available in the market, but they are pretty expensive. So you can use this simple trick and use any sentiments you may already have and create a nice background. Now I'm just completing the U, which was a bigger sentiment, so I didn't use it. I'm just writing it by hand, U everywhere. Now this is a very simple birthday card, and I just wanted the main image to be of a cake, as everything else, there was so much going around in the card. I just wanted one simple image. So I just took a cake stamp, a cake image, and I'm just coloring it, simple coloring with Crayola color pencils and markers. Also, I will share a tip future in the video regarding the coloring, which I normally do. And I'm also using some Staedtlers for the candles. It's a pretty basic cake, nothing fancy. For the main sentiment, I hand lettered very simply a happy birthday to you on a black cardstock, and I'm cutting a banner of sorts to make the sentiment stand out a bit more, and I sticked both the main sentiment and the main image towards the window, sticked towards the window. I also ended up cutting the base of the cake. I ended up rejecting it, and I also cut the candles separate from the cake. I will stick them separately and then use a silver glitter pen to draw the threads and also to define all the lines, the cake, the outline of the cake and everything. After making a card, I always go back with a silver glitter pen or a black glitter pen depending on the cardstock I'm using, and define certain things. Like here I'm defining the outline of the cake, because this card is supposed to be very funky, and the whole vibe of the card is very funky and playful, so some glitter would definitely be good. And I'm using it to define the cake, the candles, the thread of the candles. I also like to draw some shapes, simple shapes like a heart, maybe an S and an O, something like that, which I'm doing here, and define the edges of any basic shapes I use. Like here I'm defining the border of the shaker window and also the border of the main sentiment, the cake, the banner. And I'm going in with Crayola marker to just color the edges of the styrofoam so that it blends in with the red color of the card. I'm just signing my name here, and then our card is pretty much done. For the next card, which is supposed to be a fall card, all the basic steps are the same which I used in the first card, but the only major difference here is that I cut the window out of the styrofoam just like I cut it on the cardstock, as I told you before, which is a better alternative. And I'm just sticking again some, as it's supposed to be a fall card, I'm sticking some leaves, autumn leaves, on the clear packaging, so then when the card stands up, not all of the elements fall down. Again, the same little detail, nothing different. And I'm peeling the backing of a double-sided tape here, and I will stick the clear window on the double-sided tape. The double-sided tape is definitely the option you want to go with, not anything else, not glue, not any tape, or just the double-sided tape. It has to be strong. And I'm just sticking it, centering it over the windows and sticking it. Now here is a little trick I want to share about coloring for those of us who don't have alcohol markers. When you color with the washable markers like the Crayola Super Tips or the broad line ones, you get these harsh lines which do not look good at all. Coloring in with a color pencil give you that grainy texture. If you want to achieve that smooth texture, it's really hard to do without alcohol markers. But for those of us who don't have them, what you need to do is you need to first go in with a color pencil and then go in with the same close color of a marker to get that smooth texture which you will see me doing here. So I'm taking a color called jade green from the color pencils, and I'm just coloring this tree. Pretty basic coloring, no gradient, blending, highlights, just basic, very basic coloring. And then what I will do is I will take a marker of a very close color and go over the color pencil with it, and you will get this amazing smooth texture which you cannot achieve by either of them single-handedly. So it's a little trick for any basic shapes you want to color. Now for this card too, I cut once more the window from the same color cardstock, and I'm sticking it on the back of the card to hide the styrofoam. For this card, I just wanted to show a little montage of sorts of how I place all the little images to create the fall scene. I use this tree trunk, the tree, the grass, a little mushroom, and a fox. And also I want to shout out to a stamp set called More Stories by Avery, which is a really beautiful stamp set. You have all these images of a fox, a hedgehog, and they look at the sky like they're missing someone to create a fall scene, a winter scene, a night scene. It's the perfect stamp set which you can go for. So I took the fox and the mushroom from that stamp set, also the leaves, all the autumn leaves, and I'm just creating a little scene of sorts to give that fall effect. I really love autumn, I love fall, and this stamp set is perfect for that. So I'm putting the fox like it's looking at the sky, missing someone, as I'm giving this to a friend who I've been missing a lot lately. It's quarantine and every one of us are missing our friends. And this mushroom, just to create a little scene, I'm sticking all these different leaves of different shapes, some on the tree and some falling down. Fall scenes are always very beautiful. For the main sentiment of this card, I'm just writing hand lettering falling for you on the main card itself by using a black pen. Just because this card has a lot of scene and a lot of stuff going on around, I wanted to keep the sentiment very simple. So I just wrote falling for you, matching with all the fall theme. And of course, I went in with a black pen to define the edges, the outlines of all the little images we have. Fox, mushrooms, the details on the tree trunk, the edges of the leaves, everything. I went in with the black pen and defined everything again. Also off screen, just like before, I used a blue marker and colored the styrofoam which was peeking through the edges, just to make the card, you really want to do that detail. And with that being said, this card is also done. Hey everyone, thanks for watching my video. I hope you'll give my card a shot. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, stay blessed, stay happy.